What's up, guys? It's Ian here, back today with another video. And today I wasn't originally planning on making this video, but I figured it was an important enough video that I did want to touch on this topic. And today's topic is your hate is or can be making you sicker or weaker or sick in the first place. If you're in good health, be careful, because too much hate and too much burden, it can damage your health. It can wear away at you internally. I don't necessarily want to disclose who I've had hateful feelings towards, but I have harbored ill will or resentment to other people throughout various points in my life, and potentially even over long periods of time. And I think that it could be potentially the source of potentially some of my health ailments that I've suffered over time. I'm just, I reflect on it. I do think that I've battled some health conditions. I don't think that I'll necessarily disclose them unless I become super wealthy or successful, but that's not necessarily the important point, but rather that in prior videos, I've discussed concepts such as the energy defense field, and I do think that harboring hate and resentment, it both can weaken your own energy defense field. Because if your energy defense field, and this is where I'm going to get into this is one of the topics I'll get into as I move deeper into the video, but if your energy defense field is fundamentally trying to draw from a positive energy or harboring hatred and ill will and resentment, they're going to weaken your positive aura. They're going to diminish your positive aura until eventually you are emitting a negative aura. But if you don't have it within your temperament to actually, you're not, let's say the universe is not meant for you to be a negative person, then your positive aura will be diminished until you're just very weak. And then your energy defense field is very weak, and you'll be extremely susceptible to psychic attacks, to different things. I'm going to make a longer video on it later, but one of the reasons that I've recently gotten back into calisthenics and stopped going to the gym is partially to save money, because gyms are expensive and I have weights at home, and I do want to pursue more calisthenics goals before I get too old. I did fulfill my main lifting goals. I think I lifted about as much as I could without, I know obviously I could lift more if I dedicate everything to it, but it would involve force feeding myself, potentially using PEDs. I don't want to use PEDs. I don't really want to force feed myself. It would involve weight gain. It didn't seem worth it. And I was already suffering some negative health effects from the myopic focus on strength training just to reach those fairly mediocre lifts. So, I feel like I kind of topped out my gym progress. This isn't about the gym or why I switched to calisthenics, but maybe it is about why, but it's just a side caveat. But no, I felt that maybe because my energy defense shield, my aura is so weak, that maybe I'm just, fucking schizo as fuck, bro. But I don't know, when I would enter gyms, maybe it's just because there's so much EMF bouncing off the walls, because everybody has Bluetooth devices, everybody has Bluetooth headphones, and I don't know, everybody's just posturing. It's a really negative environment. For what's supposed to be a positive environment, it just seems like a really terrible environment, because you've got all these women dressing up in super revealing clothes, makeup on like they're about to go to the club or something, and just showing everything. And you got all the guys just trying to be strong and cool and like intimidate the other guys and just posture and be like, yeah, what, you want something from me? And it's just this like weird contrived environment. you could see why a lot of fighting gyms, especially like the Russian fighting gyms, like it's men only or women only. Like I think when you put men and women together in a room, it creates like a certain type of energy that's like, it's not a great type of energy, honestly. If I should say, if the sole purpose isn't socializing between the men and women, if your sole purpose is to work out, I mean, it just seems like when you get a group of men all together and it's just the boys working out, you know, it's like everybody's getting along. But then when there's some girls watching, it's like, oh damn, I better not mess up in front of the girls, or like I don't want to look weaker than my bro in front of the girls because then maybe my bro will swoop on, you know, it's et cetera, right? I'm sure you guys know, if my viewers have a bit of life experience, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I found the gym to be a negative environment for me, and it was causing me actually physiological effects, probably from my psychological state. I just always felt like I was under stress or under threat, under pressure. I just felt like people were looking at me. It felt like a really negative environment. And I also felt like I was spinning my wheels. I wasn't gonna get any stronger unless I started using PEDs. I wasn't really gaining weight. I was kind of force feeding myself, and the force feeding was kind of making me sick. But this has turned into a long segment about that. This wasn't what the video was intended to be about, and I'm going to make a longer video about that in the future. But what today's video was supposed to be about was energy defense fields, and how having a weaker or a stronger energy defense field, it can affect the manner in which you interact with the world in many different settings. The gym was just one setting. It's a recent example that's really stuck out to me, because a lot of other people, they're like, I don't have that same experience at the gym. It's a positive experience for me. And obviously, like if you're a woman or an attractive woman, I'm not throwing shade at you, but the gym is probably going to be a more positive experience for you. Maybe all the other women who are less attractive than you, they're going to be throwing shade at you. They're going to be throwing psychic attacks at you. But if your energy defense field is strong, you're just going to deflect those attacks. It's not going to affect you. It's not going to matter. So typically for women, especially the more attractive you are, it's a pretty positive environment. Maybe bitter, salty dudes who are like maybe sexually repressed or like angry at the world, they'll be bitter or resentful towards women, which goes further to show like maybe male only gyms are the way to really do strength training. And like, I don't know, just go talk to women at the grocery store or something, or like on the sidewalk. Just go to a city, go to the sidewalk or the grocery store. We need to normalize those things. Like, don't drink alcohol. You shouldn't have to drink alcohol to talk to people. But anyways, that's not what the video is supposed to be about. Maybe it's what I really wanted to talk about, and that's why I keep getting pulled into it. But that's not the point. All right. Anyway, so the gym is probably going to be a more positive experience. Like if you're a dude who's like strong energy defense field, super strong, super big, maybe tall, good looking, at the top of your game, it's like, yeah, people are going to be jealous of you, but they're not a real threat, at least in that environment. Yeah, they might be better at fighting, etc. But you're pretty safe there, and you're basically at the top of that hierarchy in the given environment that you've inserted yourself into, which is pretty obvious if you think about it. So yeah, you could think of the gym as like a hierarchy, and the fact that there's men and women together in the same room, it's like you're kind of acutely aware of where you fit into that hierarchy, and you're like trying to improve your place in the hierarchy. And maybe the women are giving all their attention to like the best looking dude who's really tall and good looking and maybe on roids, and it's just like, don't you know that guy's on roids? Like your kids aren't gonna look like that. Yeah, your kids might be tall if you have kids with that guy, but all right. So let's stop talking about the gym. I'll make a longer video about that in the future. Hopefully you guys are still watching. If you are still watching, I want to talk more about auras and energy defense fields. Yeah, so I think that if your aura and your temperament, let's say like your upbringing and how the universe intended for you to be, if you were intended to be a positive person, hatred and ill will and negative emotions, they're going to weaken your positive aura. It's kind of like that game, I think it was called like Infamous or something. It's like you could either be like somebody drop a comment down below. It was like a PS2 game, a really old game. I'm dating myself, but you guys know how old I am, so it doesn't matter. But really old game. I think it was called Infamous, or yeah, I don't know. But you were like a hero, and you could either do good deeds and run around the city, and you would develop this like blue-yellow energy, or you could like harm everybody and basically do evil, and you develop this like red lightning energy, kind of like the Darth Sidious telling Anakin, like, good, your hate will make you strong, right? And maybe Anakin, in the Star Wars universe, he was meant to become evil, and he was meant to become an evil entity and harness that evil energy, right? And one of the big reasons that I made this video is because the other day I was listening to a priest speaking on the Sean Ryan podcast. It was a really cool interview. I don't necessarily subscribe to every tenet of Catholicism. I just thought it was an interesting interview, an interesting podcast. But one of the interesting concepts that he touched on was the concept that Satanists actually do. He talked about the organizational structure of the heavens and hells, and basically how there's different ranks amongst the angels, and how humans are supposed to be like kind of a stopgap in between animals and angels. And then if you do well enough in this human lifetime, and then you pass on, you may be incarnated into an angel, and you may even be higher than the lowest angel. Or if you do terrible things, or the balance, if your balance is outweighed in terms of negativity, if your negative deeds strongly outweigh your positive deeds, then you'll sink into hell. And based on how evil your deeds are, that determines how low into the hells that you get. Basically, the higher into the heavens that you are placed, the closer to God you are, the more similar to God you are. I guess the more similar actions God would have taken to your actions, etc. And the lower in hell that you're placed, the more similar to Satan, or the more similar to the greatest evil that you would essentially be. And this is interesting because there's people in real life who believe in this. So that's why in the intro I kind of hinted at it, and I said your hate will make you weaker, and it can make you weaker, it can make you sicker. But actually there's a whole bunch of people in this earth, in our universe, in real life, who believe that the greater evil deeds that you commit in your life, the greater harm, the greater suffering you cause to others, the more that you hate, lie, deceive, steal, all these things, basically the greater magnitude of evil that you can commit, you're going to have more power in hell. Basically, if you're a Satanist and you believe in this hierarchy, and this is what the priest was saying, I'm just reiterating it, and I found it really fascinating. But I guess some Catholics believe this, and it makes sense because like there's a lot of Satanists and people in our political class who would appear to really believe this, like the whole Epstein class, etc. Right? It would appear as if they really believe this. You know, the cannibalism, pedophilia, the words that you can't say on. I don't even know if I can say that. Whatever. I mean, my channel's not even monetized yet, but hopefully it doesn't get removed. If it does, I'll re-record the video. But there's a whole group of people in our political class, in our world, who it does seem like they really subscribe to the idea that the greater evil that you do, the more powerful standing you gain in hell. It's like the lower in hell is basically the closer to Satan you are. Satan is at the deepest depths of hell in this model, and then God is at the highest heights of heaven. And then, you know, humans were on the earth in the middle, and, you know, we've got the animals, angels, etc. But yeah, I just found it very interesting. Like, maybe some people, the universe intended for you to be an evil individual. I don't know. That's, you know, and I wish Sean Ryan had asked a few better questions. Not better, he asked some good questions, but like, if I had this priest in front of me, I would ask him some different questions. Yeah, like, okay, so some people are, you know, we're assigned a guardian angel at birth, and he said that the strength of your guardian angel is proportionate to the magnitude of good deeds that you're meant to achieve while on this earth. That's interesting. He also said that a finite number of angels were created at the beginning of creation. But that, and this is where Sean Ryan didn't ask a question, because that, I would have asked, that doesn't that imply that there's going to be a finite number of humans that can be born? And then let's say, like, because if every single guardian angel, every human has one guardian angel that corresponds to them, right? So if every guardian angel was created at the beginning of creation, but there's only one for each human, and in this model there's no reincarnation, then that means that there's a finite number of humans. So at some point, the last human will be born, and what does that mean? Like, I would have several more questions for the priest. I would ask him, like, do subsequent humans not get a guardian angel, or does the rapture just strike? Does Jesus come back and, cleanse the earth of sin at that point? And does he rapture the non-believers, or does he rapture the earth? I guess that's not the right way of phrasing it. He would rapture the believers too, and I guess that would be a positive thing if you're a believer, and a negative thing if you're dying in the destruction of the earth. I don't know exactly how it works, but that's how I perceive it, at least. But yeah, so interesting. I wanted to talk about the energy defense fields and the auras. I do think that the reason why I've suffered health conditions for much of my life, and I feel really uncomfortable in some situations. It might be because my energy defense field has been weakened by the hatred that I harbor, and it's eroded my energy defense field to where I'm closer to just a neutral force. Because I do think a lot of negative thoughts. I'm not as positive as I'm not trying to pretend that I'm this overly positive individual. I'd like to be a really positive individual. I definitely meet people that are super positive, and like their lives are great. Like, they have a great job, great house, career, cars, kids, etc. Like, everything's going great for them. And I do feel pangs of jealousy. I think that's a natural human emotion. I think jealousy is one of the most natural emotions, and we try to pretend that we don't feel it, but I think it's actually worse to pretend that you don't feel it and to suppress it. I think it's better to face it and just be like, hey, well, it's great for him that he has a good life, and it would be great if mine could be better, but either way, I can't have his life, and I should work to improve my own life. That's the point. Isn't to be resentful to him. I should be happy for him, right? That's the way to look at it. Those aren't the people that I have resentment towards. I have resentment towards different people for different reasons that I won't necessarily get into here because it's a bit too personal. But yeah, I guess the sooner that we can find forgiveness, you can begin repairing your own energetic aura, your own defense field, defend against those psychic attacks out there. It's especially hard when you're in the continuous presence of the very thing that is wearing away at you, because when you're in the continuous presence of the things that are wearing away at you, it's like you're trying to forgive them on a daily basis, and then it happens again, and then you try to have forgiveness and it happens again, and it's like, how many times can you forgive something? I guess if you are closer to, let's say, the closer you are to God or to Buddha, etc., the closer you are to the highest level spiritually, you should be able to forgive an infinite number of times. Not that there shouldn't be punishment or repercussions, because there should, because in order to have society continue, you can't just let people get away with endless infractions, especially if they're causing violent harm to others. But you get my point. For more minor offenses, like people annoying you, people being just assholes in general in society, like, it's a good thing to harbor or to find the space for forgiveness. And it may seem weak, and on its surface, I guess, from a evolutionary biology perspective, so the non-religious perspective, having an acute respond to threat response, it makes a lot of sense, because that is your like kind of acute survival mechanism, like respond to this threat, because like you have to fight it now, or your life is under threat and you won't be able to reproduce. And theoretically, you are only here watching this video because of many generations of successful reproduction before you. All right, so otherwise you wouldn't exist and you wouldn't be watching this video. So yeah, having an immediate response to threat is a very valid response, but dwelling on it psychologically, I think, is what eats away at you. So I've gone long enough. Hopefully this was a good video for you guys. Hopefully you guys made it through the me circling about the gym portion for 4 or 5 minutes to hear about my spirituality talk and talking about energy defense fields. Hopefully this information helps you. Hopefully you have a good positive aura and you make it stronger. You let go of some of your hate. You strengthen your aura and you bolster your defenses against psychic attacks, and hopefully you can keep existing in this world and keep going to the gym and doing whatever you want, and you're armored and protected against psychic attacks. Hopefully you're not just watching this video with an evil, hateful aura and you're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna just be more evil and more hateful and strengthen my evil aura. It's like, okay, that wasn't really the intent of this, but maybe there's a balance to the universe. Maybe, you know, I guess you could say God knows all things, and he's aware of all the evil, and he lets it occur. There's more questions for the priests. I'm not quite sure why it's let to be occur, but it is let to be occur, and potentially will be dealt with at some point. But yeah, I don't have answers to all the questions that I ask here. And yeah, anyways, this video was meant to be about energetic defense fields. I know that the EMF is probably weakening my energy defense field. Yeah, do you guys still use Bluetooth items? I feel like it's one of those things where people say like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, they don't affect you that badly, and you know, why would they sell them if they were that bad for you? It's like, dude, governments lie all the time. Like, they're making a lot of money off of these things. Like, could come out in 10, 20 years that they are really bad for you, and then kids in the future, they're gonna be like, damn, you used to wear those? Like, oh my God, like, you know, it could be something like that. So anyways, yeah, do these weaken your energy defense fields? I do think EMF probably does. To what extent does it? I don't know. Maybe if you go and do some grounding, it'll reverse the effects of it. So anyways, I've gone in circles long enough. This video is quite long now. I hope that it helps you strengthen your energy defense field and your defense against psychic attacks, your defense against negativity. Hopefully you can become a more positive person. Thank you for watching. Comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see in the next video. And I will talk to you soon.